From the start to the end, over 3,600 people died. I could never see the logic in continuing a war that would just create more graves. I am an Irish Republican, I'm not going to deny that. But a long time ago I decided that the force of argument was greater than the argument of force. The fight went on, the war went on. I just found another way of fighting. I've worked for over 30 years promoting reconciliation, promoting peace, reuniting communities that have been driven apart by the armed conflict. Sitting around the table, discussing the options, looking at what happened, being honest, looking somebody straight in the eye and saying, I don't agree with your politics, but as a person, I'm prepared to work with you. I want to be sitting around a table with you. 7 years of armed conflict on my part didn't bring us any closer to the civil rights agenda that we set out initially to achieve, which was about a fair allocation of housing, a fair allocation of votes, and equal opportunities in employment. The world at this point will be aware we've just come through 38 years of armed conflict that ended in an agreement signed in 1998, which is now 20 years ago. The conflict is long. You can ask people when it started, and they will say it started in 1968 with the first civil rights march. They'll say it started in 1921 with the partition of the country. They'll say it started in 1607 when the English came and built the walled city. Or you can go back even further to 1169 when the Normans arrived in Ireland. So anywhere in the last 800 years is a good place to start talking about the conflict in the north. It was political. It's viewed worldwide as a religious conflict. I've never seen it in the context of religion. I've seen it in the context of the abuse of power by a unionist minority created in a statelet that they created so that they could have a sustainable unionist majority. There would be a view that after the signing of agreement everything changes, that suddenly we become new people, that suddenly we forget the pain of the past and all of that. It doesn't happen that easy. You know, it certainly didn't happen in the north of Ireland. From the signing of the Good Friday Agreement, the European Union have made a massive economic impact in the north of Ireland. Over almost €3 billion has come into Northern Ireland in peace and reconciliation funds. We haven't got big multinational employers there anymore. All of the big business has gone. It has gone to Malaysia, it's gone to Turkey, it's gone anywhere where it's cheaper to manufacture something than it would be manufactured in the north of Ireland. And as a result of that, our largest employer now is government and government agencies. And the next largest employer in the north of Ireland are projects that are funded by the European Union. We're now in a position where the unionist population and the nationalist population in the north of Ireland are 50-50. So you know, where we go from here, particularly in the current context of Brexit, whether we're European, whether we're Irish, whether as the unionists would say we remain British, is something that will be hopefully be resolved over the next 2 or 3 weeks. My hope is that we stay within the European Union. My hope is that as a result of staying in the European Union, it brings a referendum on the border and on Irish unity a lot closer. If the European Union decide if we're out, we're all out, or if the British decide if we're out, we're all out, it's going to be a massive economic blow to working class areas, both Catholic and Protestant, nationalist and unionist, Republican and loyalist communities are going to suffer as a result of that. The work that's been done over the last 30 years in reconciliation will no longer be funded either. You know, this isn't just about drawing a line in the sand and saying, let's move on. We have to deal with the past. When we keep talking about the conflict and how we get beyond it, it's getting beyond the past. For us, the past is today. It's not yesterday, and it's not last year, and it's not 20 years ago. It's today, because there are people who are still suffering the consequences of the conflict. And I also learned at great cost that we can't afford to get it wrong. Enough people have died for where we are now.